So the why of Williams Stanley is we believe that we're there to empower and support, people in hospitality and hoteliers, restaurateurs, bar owners, publicans to give their guests the best possible experience. It's not to have them drowning around them. Now we don't have 100% success rate. I'm trying to focus on that, and we're doing everything we can do to get there.
Yeah.
But that's very much the why, and I think everybody at Williams Stanley buys into that why. We're also doing a cultural piece. I'm learning how to be a CEO of a 100-person plus business. We had 4 years where it doubled every year. So we went from sort of 8 people pre-COVID to like 90 in 24.
Wow.
And then it's slowed down. I mean, I've intentionally slowed it down. I mean, we're very lucky we retain 99% of our clients, but we're not perfect, and we're always striving for that kind of 10 out of 10.
Welcome to Captive Conversations, brought to you by Captive Wi-Fi. I'm your host, Adam Forman. This podcast brings you the best stories from suppliers, marketers, and operators from our beloved hospitality sector. Now, let's get on with the show. Hello, everyone. Episode 87, Captive Conversations. Welcome back. I'm back to doing more than one podcast a week, which is not the right thing to do. But thank you so much for coming. We have Tom Stanley from Williams Stanley. Give everyone a bit of a wave. And thank you for coming and rearranging stuff because I was busy, you were busy, and then but we did quite well from meeting at Marketplace.
Yeah, we've got a short space of time.
We did that well. The weirdest thing is that after I left you, 15 people mentioned you, and I was like, "How have we not met before?" Which was really strange. So it's really good, and we had a really great chat actually. So I'm really interested to hear the story because this is all about the story.
Yep.
It's going to be really interesting. So and it's nice. People have lovely things to say about you.
Well, that's very kind. I'm glad
that's really nice, actually, because in hospitality, it's either good or bad, I guess. So, and then maybe it's a grey area. So, I think you've got a bit of a halo up there. So, which is
we
nice.
worked very hard at that.
Yeah.
We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we
I just think I think it's important in the industry. But anyway, we'll come to that in a bit. I'm going to dig straight in. So we had Catherine from 2G Design and Build yesterday actually, on a podcast last, and one of her questions was, there's a lot of negative press in the hospitality industry. How do we start making the messages positive?
It's a very good question. I mean, I think there is a lot of negativity. It's hard for a lot of people, but there is also some people who are doing very well. And I was having lunch with someone before, and we discussed the fact we think it's probably sort of retreated to the smallest it's going to get. There's been, unfortunately, a lot of closures. We've had to help people navigate through a lot of downsizing or right-sizing. But we are starting to see people opening some new sites. I think a lot of our shared clients are doing quite well, actually.
Yeah.
So I think quality has come to the top, and I think has really, that's really showing through. So the narrative is quite positive, and I think there's more that we can do to be talking about that, more that we can do to be supporting people. In the finance world, we're probably always going to be a little bit more on the negative side, right?
Yeah,
because we've always got to highlight stuff.
You always tend to know stuff when things are coming before everyone else does.
Exactly, and I don't say anything anymore because it's all confidential, so it's far easier to keep it to myself. But I think the weather's changing now. We're into March. Our government isn't doing anything to support, which is damaging. But ultimately, I think we're a very resilient industry. There's lots of positivity coming through. As I say, the shrinking and the right sizing gives others room to growth, gives people who've got the quality to kind of push on and do better. So I don't know. I'd say 2026 is going to be a better year, and that's definitely the drum we're banging with our clients.
Yeah.
While also encouraging cautious optimism,
spending, absolutely.
Cautious spending. I'm always pushing cautious spending.
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting. I don't know. I feel like there needs to be someone banging the drum all the time.
Sure.
I think you guys had to do it, and that there will be on the news, but I don't think there's enough noise out there.
And I think the problem is definitely when you reference UK hospitality and how things are kind of portrayed in the media, there's always going to be a more negative slant on that, because ultimately they're lobbying, they're trying to get government support, they're trying to portray some of our struggles to an industry and to a government in this instance who view it as discretionary and don't view it as the lifeblood or one of the most key industries.
Absolutely shocks me to bits. I don't know. It's because who you have in government. We're not going to go down that road.
But not to be, but very political, but it hasn't just been this. It has been a few governments view it as discretionary, as quite a Darwinian industry. I mean, even New Labour was saying it sort of 20 years ago. So, it is a problem, and it is a problem of something that
I feel like Parliament needs to rest and then send them all into hospitality and let them work in hospitality.
Well, I don't think you should be allowed to be an MP unless you've had a career first.
Right? 100% agree. In hospitality.
And, everyone should do a shift behind the bar, right? And I mean, we're trying to figure out how we do this at the moment, but it's to send everyone at Williams Stanley, which is like over 100 people now, into a client or into one of our businesses to go and work on the floor and work behind the bar.
That's a great idea.
But getting accounts to do that is easier said than done. Nice idea in the board.
Do I have to talk to people?
Exactly.
Spreadsheets is fine. So no, but also, we'll come into that. So that's a question I usually ask actually in a bit. So that's really cool, actually. By the way, if you can do it, but even if you've got some people, it's something that you should be chatting on about.
For sure,
it's good to.
For sure, and we've got a lot of our heads of department, a lot of our senior leadership team have all worked in hospitality, either in the support office or on the front line, and so it's something that's very passionate. It's discussed. A lot more of our team than ever have come from and worked in hospitality and understand that.
Yeah.
So let's see how we can fit it in.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Week. I'd love to say, that'd be awesome.
We might get them all do a deli takeover for a day or two.
Yeah, well, to be fair, then go upstairs. That'd be insane. You should literally.
That's only one of the offices. There's one in Manchester and one in East London as well. But I think it might be a bit faulty towers. So let's put it that way. So
but that's where you get the camera out and have a laugh.
We could do that. Might do a Williams Stanley takeover.
Yeah, you should do. That'd be hilarious. Unfortunately, and then you'll be like, what were the sales today? Yeah, they're down by 180. We just gave free shit away to everyone.
And the rest. We might have to get you to come in on that day now.
I'll bring on the team. It's fine. Don't worry. We'll okay. Second question. How do you ensure that hospitality operators understand the importance of design? And that's on their side, like concept design, creation. I think one of the things that she was saying, which is really interesting, because they have, she's design and her husband is basically a builder, an architect, all in one. So you get both flowing together. So you often get which you've probably seen as well, the very expensive architect who's done the job, who doesn't understand the actual design and flow of the place. And then you've got 19 revisions and the bill is just going crazy. Yeah. So she was like, how do we make people understand that design piece? Like when you walk into a restaurant and it's a nice flow of people, and even to the point of making the speed faster from someone from the past to the table, so they don't have to walk around.
Well, that has a real financial impact, right? So I think it's something we do, and definitely having been a restaurateur turned accountant, it's something we try and train in and when we're doing consulting and support, ensure that people are considering it in the round, are looking at the fact that actually, if you make the bar set up in a certain way and speed of service is kind of encouraged and focused on, that will have a result on your bottom line. And it does improve the guest experience. That said, we are accountants, and so probably don't get asked the design question that often. And normally we're brought in when it's already decided that the build is going to be.
But you've also got your space upstairs. So.
Yeah. Well, and but even if you take the delis, right? And it's quite interesting. We were talking about bills before this started. Their MD Tom gives quite an impassioned talk. I don't know if you've heard him in any of the conferences, but it's well worth listening to.
I love Tom's talk.
Well, I think it's very well rehearsed. So he's very good at it. But he talks a lot about switching up the metrics and actually not putting finance or cover or spend per head as the top metric. And obviously that is hard pill for us to swallow, but I've also seen the benefit of that and the import of it. So if you've really focused on having a great experience, having a great design space, or even just an intentional space, right? If you can't afford to do a great design space, if you're a smaller business, but it's very intentional, then that flows through to the guest experience, flows through to the numbers, and ultimately the tail can't wag the dog. In finance, we can't count, nothing if the customers aren't coming in, or it's not a good experience. So we do encourage people to do that, but we're also then going to tell them how much they're spending and they need to spend.
I want to do this.
It's always
that's how much you're going to spend.
Exactly.
So to be fair, if they get it the right way, then you can help them the right way as well. If they get the crazy architect in and they listen to you and they're like, actually, we're not going to go for the crazy architect. We're going to go with Catherine because she's better. It's an interesting point. And I think it's difficult as when you do get that conversation in, as you said, you're probably either too late down the line.
Yeah, and caveat, they're not going to be asking me what do you think of the design.
No.
Although the odd client does.
It depends on your relationship, I guess.
Exactly.
So amazing. All right, off to the standard questions. Best hospitality experience.
Oh, I have quite a few of these. I mean, I'm very lucky to spend a lot of time in and around restaurants and hotels. I think there's the main one that springs to mind is a Hawksmoor experience, and I think they do unreasonable hospitality incredibly well.
Yeah. Someone's read the book.
Yeah, avid reader. And I was actually it was in Liverpool where my mum and stepdad live, and we went out for cocktails and dinner. And my stepdad, who is a character that likes to take the piss, was joking about the fact that he didn't have any crisps behind the bar for that he wanted them with his martini before we went off to dinner.
You want a little snack. I get it.
It's a little salty crisp with your dry vodka martini. Anyway, they taught us very good humour. There was a lot of kind of bantering backwards and forwards, and we went for our dinners. It was fantastic. But at the end, as we were leaving, they presented him with 2 packets of crisps that they'd gone to the shop to buy. And I think this was just, it's a very small touch in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
But they still talk. They're in their 70s. They still talk about it all the time. They're still, telling their friends how great the hospitality that was because they were understood, they were listened to, and people engaged with them. And so those little ones always really kind of speak most to me. And I've had some great stuff in hotels, which is more kind of fully encompassed experience. But actually, those little bits of joy and those little bits of real happiness you can give people, I think, are very powerful.
I love that. I love this. I love the little bits that will remind you of stuff. Exactly. It's that, and sometimes the touches of like smell and that sort of thing when you go in. But I love that. That's really cute, actually, and having banter because it's always hilarious when you. But they did a really good job on the end, and now, as you said, they're going to continue talking about it.
Yes, and they don't even go that often, but they now have big advocates for the business.
Yeah,
they're pushing forward. I mean, lots of our smaller clients do equally stuff that's fantastic. Whether it's just cooking special things for people or doing just being hospitable.
It's the surprise and delights,
exactly.
Right?
Which are quite rare. So that still for me is up there as one of the kind of best experiences.
Yeah, I think. The thing about Hawksmoor for me is they've got the local marketing team that are local, and then you've got head of, and then you've got digital market. They've got a whole range of people running it.
They really get it,
which is really different because we had Gemma from Honest a while ago, and she used to work there, and she was telling me about. I didn't even know they had local marketing, and because their job is literally to be there local, to speak to everyone local, and do it. And Honest sort of do the same thing as well. But it's really interesting on that. I wish more brands would do that. It's hard, but
it is hard. And they're big businesses, Hawksmoor. These are not small sites with kind of 10 members of staff, and then they are bigger businesses. They have an economy of scale, and they do that very well. But smaller businesses can do versions of the same and engage, and I think we've even seen that in kind of Murray, a business I'm deeply involved and very passionate about in the Northwest. It's just by having general managers, by having people on the ground who are empowered to befriend and look after their local businesses and their neighbours, drive spend up, everyone's very happy. Yeah. And it ultimately is very core to why we all learn hospitality and why we love it in the first place.
I agree. Okay, so we're going to go back in time from the very beginning.
Long time ago,
yeah. Dude, I got no hair. So I'm like, we both had the same problem.
Absolutely.
Except yours actually, mine doesn't do that. Mine would do the complete teacher haircut. So
mine goes out to the side.
Yeah, you're doing all right. But before where you are now, before this, where did the journey first begin? And the question I ask everyone, which is really interesting, when you were like studying at uni, whatever, did you work in a hospital?
So I didn't go to university. I left school at 16 thinking I knew everything. I had to basically beg my parents to be allowed to go out and set up on my own. And I first went to be, I was actually a sound engineer with somebody called Adlib Audio in Liverpool 22 years ago now. And I kind of went to work for them and started off as a trainee, doing that literally straight out of school. Very passionate about that. And kind of trundled along, and through that fell into bar backing for restaurants and doing other stuff. So sound engineers definitely back then was a very hotly contested industry and didn't pay very much. I mean, you're lucky if you got kind of a beer and 20 quid for the gig. So I would work behind the bar for my kind of proper money while at the same time learning more about sound engineering, and through that got more and more involved in the bars.
So sound engineering went down and the hospital
hospital went up. I actually had a business back then when I was 18 called the Jam Factory, which was we had a small recording studio. We did stuff in Liverpool. It was a lot of fun, but I didn't know what I was doing. Perhaps I still don't. So it was, but it was great fun, and through that kind of got into very involved bars and restaurants. then through a family connection, there was a local restaurant that went bust, and they asked me, because I knew a load of people, would you know anyone who could take over this as a tenant? I thought, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it over. And I'm very lucky that my grandfather left me kind of a small pot of money that when I was 18 I could access. So I took that and opened a restaurant. And lost every penny that I'd been given in a very short. I was kind of like 18 and a half. 19. And lost lost all. I mean, I still remember my first month, my wages were 150% of my sales, and it never really recovered from that. But
what sort of restaurant was it?
It was. I had the worst thing, or equally the best thing, was the chef was incredible. I managed to persuade this guy called Dave from L'Alouette, which is a very famous French Liverpool institution in the kind of early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah.
And he came on board as my head chef. He actually had to sell his restaurants, and the food was fantastic. But it was kind of French British. We had a cider bar downstairs.
Yeah.
It was in a place called the Baltic Triangle, which is now very trendy. But I was definitely at least 15 years too early for it. I was kind of it was an industrial estate when I was there.
Yeah.
But managed to sell that to just avoid going personally bankrupt. Like it was a case of
at 18.
19 by this point. And an old family friend worked at Soho House, was the restaurant manager at Dean Street, and so he got me an interview, and I came down on the train with my backpack for the interview, and never.
So what was the first role?
They were kind enough to offer me the role of floor manager at Greek Street. I said, listen, I've just had a pretty horrific year and a half. Oh, I mean, I haven't even been told the accountancy has had this, but I had and the idea for Williams Stanley had come doing the books for the restaurant.
Oh, for your restaurant.
Because my dad is, he's retired now, so he still does a little bit, but was a film accountant for a long time. And so that's, when I was kind of, I was quite dyslexic, so I didn't do very well with English, but I've always had a big affinity for numbers and a big passion for numbers. And so I, had learned bookkeeping, had learned on Sage, had kind of done this, had an educational.
Well, you were, I guess, more thrown into it doing the restaurant and everything, right?
Well, and I outsourced it to a firm who kind of it didn't go well, so I ended up doing it myself, and actually had a big passion for that. And so that I'd started to see the idea. Happy. Yeah, he was. Well, not when he saw the numbers, but he was happy with the concept, if not the output. And so the idea came back then. We weren't doing it for anybody else. Like I was just learning a bit to do it all. And then I went to House. So I kind of said to them, listen, I need to be a waiter for a while. Like I want to. By this point I'm 20. I'm like late 19, early 20. I need to just have a bit of a blowout and kind of I want to work, I want to learn. I've got a lot to learn. Didn't really know what I was talking about. Yeah, probably very arrogant at that age. I think I've been quite humbled by that point. So then with them, and they were, had a fantastic 6 months doing that, and then they were very kind to promote me up, and so I ended up floor manager. Then
because back then, Soho House was very different to what it is now.
Yeah, we were like six. It was like 6 clubs, right? Yeah. Like, this is what 2010. 2009, 2010. This is not a big. It was not a big business. No. And I remember when the 7th club opened, because we launched this thing called House 7, which was the newsletter, and they changed the Wi-Fi password. So it was etched in my memory from kind of 16 years ago. So, and then from there, was club manager for a little bit. Was then asked to go down to Cafe Bohème as AGM. Underneath. Nice. I worked with a brilliant general manager who he got promoted very quickly. So I'm very lucky to then be given.
So the learning from working on the floor as a waiter, and then floor manager, and then what was the time zone for that? How long that was?
Within from waiter to general manager was 4 years. Yeah. Nice. So general manager Cafe Bohème 4 years, and then I was doing the pop-ups. So I was doing House Party around the world, doing Cannes Music Festival, Cannes Film Festival, doing some incredible stuff, which was absolutely fantastic. And then they started to work on Farmhouse in 2015 and said, would you like to go to the Cotswolds? And I,
yes, please.
Basically, had to get I couldn't even drive by this point. Right? I was 25. I 26, 27. Didn't have a driving license. Had to go and learn to drive. Otherwise, I wouldn't get the job. Like they give it to you, but on the proviso that know. So I had this.
It's a good push to get.
It was. I lived in Northwest London at that point. I mean, I had to kind of driving lessons in Mill Hill to get it done, and had to 2 or 3 months to get that sorted.
Yeah, and I went to the Millwall Test Centre. That's why I went.
It's good. Well, I remember my driving instructor saying, if you can drive here, you can drive basically everywhere.
That roundabout.
Exactly. Not that far off the North Circular, right? So it's not a great place to be. And then was the kind of opening F&B for Farmhouse.
From the beginning. What's that?
So I mean, when I
That's an
arrived,
experience.
I arrived on April Fool's Day, and I still, because I got very well with my then director, and I was thinking this might be a joke. Like I might arrive and say, go back now, Tom. Thank you
We're
very
not ready
much.
for 6 months. Give us 6 months.
Well, it was. I mean, there was no turf down or anything like that.
Nothing.
So that was a really incredible experience. I did a year and a half there.
So that was from the start of the beginning of that, because I mean now it's huge. They're just
so it was like 6 months before it
they're
opened.
building and building and building.
Yeah.
So you were there 6 months before it opened.
Yeah, and I was there for a year and a half in total.
Wow.
And then,
That's a very different experience from Soho House to going to that space.
And then we won Best Hotel of the Decade, and Nick was kind of named Hotel of the Year by Caterer, and there was a huge amount around it. It was a absolutely career-defining moment to be part of.
Yeah.
But it was a lot. It was a lot of hours. It was a lot of intensity. I then became general manager of the Farmyard, so looked after there's kind of 3-4 restaurants, the cinema, and probably still a bit green to be. They were very kind to promote me again, so a bit green to be doing all that. So left, and then that's when I set up Williams Stanley proper.
Okay, so during that period, were you still doing other stuff like that? Were you still training? Like what?
Yeah, so I did. So the bit when I was at Cafe Behem, I was doing my bookkeeping qualifications and doing books for a couple of friends' restaurants.
Yeah,
and very. And there wasn't much automation or digitization in accounting back then. It's only in that sort of 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
OCR technology wasn't very commonplace, right? And I think we all underestimate the power of a year overestimate the power of a year and underestimate the power of 10, right? So doing a little bit of that and understanding it all. Had to stop all that when I was doing Farmhouse because it was full on.
Yeah.
Left there, went and finished all my kind of first batch qualifications, and set up Williams Stanley proper as more of a bookkeeping practice. We'd had the name with my cousin Alex Williams, and so it was Williams from him, Stanley from me.
Yeah,
he was an analyst, and I was the bookkeeper. Was the original thing. He then got a job, and life changed for him, and he ended up wasn't really involved, but I kept the name because when you start out, it's nice to
of course
a little bit bigger. And then we're very, very fortunate in those 10 years. We're now 120 staff. We operate in
no, too fast.
But
come on, that's too fast. So Soho Farmhouse, and then throughout. Come on, because setting up a business is hard, right? And in hospitality as well. Like it's not as simple as the benefit you have. And
I made a lot of mistakes. Trust me, I made a lot of mistakes.
But it's all learning. It's all learning. Yeah. So after Farmhouse, you done all you did the other spaces in Farmhouse, and then what was after that?
So then I left to set up Williams Stanley.
So then you were like, right, I'm now going to take time to.
I was working.
And that was just bookkeeping to start.
Well, I became a bookkeeper. I was bookkeeping, and I was doing. I was a part shareholder in the Bull in Charlbury.
Yeah.
Now been bought by Public House Group, who are a client, and they're doing a phenomenal job, and it's an incredible pub. But it wasn't that great when me and my then business partner were running it, and I did the books for the Bull, and we had another pub at the end called the Swan, and we also started getting other clients. So to do those two things.
And was that just you to start with?
Yeah, it's just me.
Okay.
And then I had my first bookkeeper. We had a small office in Charlbury in Oxfordshire.
Yeah.
Then we got to 2 or 3 people, and then I from that started working with Maggie from Maggie and Rose, who I'd known. Because Rose was key part of Soho Farmhouse, and she was opening family members clubs. So I was both supporting Maggie, and Williams Stanley was still running, but I wasn't that involved in the day-to-day.
Yeah.
And I went and lived out in China for a while for Maggie in Asia, and helped them open family members clubs.
This is you're talking about for
No, for Maggie and Rose.
I don't know Maggie. What is Maggie?
It's closed now, unfortunately, but it's a family members club, so it's a bit like SARS for kids.
Yeah.
And so I was their kind of operations director for a while.
So cool.
Operations.
What? And then you went out to China for how long?
So I did 2 6-month stints.
Oh, awesome!
So the last one during COVID.
Yeah.
So, I was there.
That must have been interesting.
Lived in Shanghai. Well, but here was closed. So actually, it was one of the only way we could keep the lights on at that point because they were paying the bills and many others couldn't.
Yes.
And so and then in that kind of 10 years, we've been fortunate to do loads of other stuff. We opened an office in New York. We've now got an office in Munich, office in Dubai, which is a bit scared for the team out there at the moment, but it's otherwise going very well.
So is Dubai potentially a good expansion across to like Australia and that way?
Yeah,
that tends to be the middleware piece, doesn't it?
And because you bridge a lot of those time zones. For us, we're very lucky. We haven't plotted those out because we they were kind of in the strategy. This is what we've got to do. It's been because people have said, we'd like you to help. We'd like our help. Can you come and, come and help us with this? And we've been able to say, yes, we've already got someone in market, or no, but this is what we've got to do to be able to do it. Because we've had people in market we had people in the States prior, working on a couple of clients and bits out there. But UK is still very much our kind of core. We think, there's market penetration. We think we're like 0.5% of what the market can
really.
do. So we think there's a long way to go.
There is. It's insane here, and you can see the mistakes that people make. You can see things change. You see how groups go and come and end up, the CBAs has just gone mental, right? It's just it's very interesting on
we've been badly burnt by a couple of those things. We've had to go through various processes of our own, so it's never nice out there, right?
No, and it's always hard. Listen, I think for me, it's always been interesting, like when recession hits, whatever else, and so on, to being in hospitality, being in that sector, people always go out. So some might close, but you find the general officey businesses will struggle.
Yeah.
But in hospitality, they're so resilient that it just, like, I remember years ago, looking at the dire news, financial crisis, and so on. And there'll be some restaurants that close. COVID, that was a crazy time. But before, we loved being in hospitality, not just because it's an amazing industry, but it always survives. Whatever's thrown at it, right? Like, even with what happened, with rates and everything now, but even previously, whatever's thrown at it, it always tends to survive because people want to go out.
Yeah.
So I think being in that, if you were in a different vertical, it would be very different. Because, that one massive client could disappear.
Yes,
so on,
but you also, different places have different resilience, right? Like,
true.
I think it's an old joke. The grass is always browner. So I think it is. It's there are nuances and there are challenges in each bit.
Yeah, awesome.
That's the story.
Yeah, I keep saying this to people when they come. Is that all on your website? Like, do you have like
No, our marketing is very bad because we've been very lucky that we've grown to the size we have by not doing any marketing.
Yeah.
Every lead has basically been an inbound lead.
Yeah.
So
that's a nice way of doing it, right? We're the same. So both things I do, we're the same. It's the recommendation piece is always nice because, and what Chris Fletcher says is that I think 87% people recommend hospitality.
Yeah.
I guess it's because the way we've done what we've done on the captive stuff, we're getting lots of inbound leads anyway, which is nice. But the easiest, the wonderful ones that come in will be someone who's worked with you before,
exactly,
and then was like, these guys are awesome.
Yeah. And if you do a good job,
yes,
it's the same as if you serve someone a good meal, right?
Yeah.
If you give them a good experience, they'll keep coming back. If it's quite Darwinian. I like Darwinian. If we're doing a bad job, people tell us, and we move to fix it very quickly.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we try and be quite hospitality focused, and that is one of our key values in that sense. So if we ever do get something wrong, we like to own up to it, work with our clients, fix it as quickly as possible, and make sure that the outcome, you know, if anything, leaves the relationship stronger and improves everything further.
That's what it's all about. I've got an interesting one here actually, which is the Lego bricks one. So it says your tech philosophy leans to best of breed. Lego bricks. How should operators decide what to standardize versus what to keep flexible when they go from 2 to 10?
So first of all, I was very impressed that your researcher had picked up
my ChatGPT deep research. I'm going to send it to you afterwards.
Well, I don't know where I found the Lego brick on because it is something I believe, but I'm not aware that I've written it down.
So, Travis Fish, it gave him something like some beliefs. And he's like, I never said that, but I'm going to keep it. Thank you very much. And he used it on his strapline and stuff like that. It was insane. So I think yours went out to something like 125, 175 links out.
Didn't know there was that much on about me.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lego brick philosophy is something we really believe in. And I think it, the way that we always explain it is, especially now, connectors have got much better in our world. Again, we talk about 10, 12 years ago, OCR technology. You couldn't really integrate solutions there.
Nice.
So, we've got APIs in the world of most things, which have got better. I mean, there's still a way to go with a lot of them, but they are better. And we've got, the MCP stuff now happening with Anthropic and with
it's insane.
which is fantastic. Yeah. And I was talking to Mo at pre-shift about this yesterday. Like, I still think
Oh, you answered the phone. No, you never answer the phone. So
I will
when I'm
remind
with you, I'm gonna call him on your phone and take because he'll answer your phone because you'll be like, sorry, can't continue.
Well, maybe we send him leads, so maybe that's what.
So do we. So yeah, no, you're right. So go on, continue.
We do still need a sort of babe or fish for hospitality or something that connects it all together.
Yes.
But we've sort of, I think Tenzo have built something a little bit like that. We've got our own thing called dynamic integrations, which we say clicks Lego bricks together. And the reason why we use the Lego as an example is if you're a small business, in my world, for example, 0 is perfect for you. Yeah, you get beyond a certain size, you're going to need more of a proper ERP. So we're now working very closely with Xledger. Historically, we were with NetSuite. So if we've got the right Lego brick setup, I can swap out 0 for Xledger, for NetSuite, without having to damage the rest of the ecosystem.
Nice.
Okay, so if your EPOS and auto journal posting is this, if your labor management and payroll is this, if your accounts processing and your invoice approval is this, we can leave those structures in place. So that's why we like the Lego brick model, and that's why we like best in breed.
Yeah.
We also like best in breed because if you have all-in-one solutions, they tend to be okay at everything. They don't tend to be, like say Captive. Captive Wi-Fi is the best Wi-Fi splash landing page that's out there, and it's we use it in our daily business. Yes. I'm both a customer and a proponent for it. And that's because you do one thing and you do it phenomenally well.
Yeah.
And even if I look at the stuff at Williams Stanley that maybe we do veer away from our own philosophy, that's the stuff we aren't maybe the best at, and so we try and always bring it back to let's do what we can best in the world at. Jim Collins in Good to Great, which is a business philosophy I strongly believe in, talks about the hedgehog concept, which is the trifecta of what makes you money, what drives your economic engine, what can you be the best in the world at, what do you enjoy doing, and try and find the kind of Venn diagram bit of that. And so we think that also applies to tech. And so if you can then have that in place, if you're using Bizimply for your workforce management solution, and that's the best in breed for what you do and works for you, fantastic. And then we can support that in the rest of the ecosystem.
So is that like a middleware piece that sits in the middle to filter things to the right place?
Basically, yes.
Nice. So are you building additional reporting tools on top of that as well? Or?
So we have WS Insights as our product. So we now have quite a big development team. And
That's rare. So I mean, it's probably 3-4 years, even 5 years ago now, maybe even 3 years ago, a finance company, an accountancy system would never have developers.
No,
right?
I think we've got to be. We believe in 5 years, 90% of bookkeeping will be fully autonomous.
Yeah.
And we want to try and be the architects of that and be the conductors that are supporting. Because we do also believe while there's a human on one side, you're going to need a human on the other.
Yeah.
So
the middle piece can be done smart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if your invoices and a lot of it's being done, well, that can mean in theory we should be able to give better quality insights, better quality human interaction, rather than I've coded your invoice, sir. There you go.
Yeah, for the wrong code.
For the wrong code.
I hate Sage. I mean, I did it. When we first, my brother's a CFO, so he's like, Adam, I'll do our accounts for you. So you do Sage. And I was like, what do you mean? Like what? Like Sage 200? Yeah, just get Sage 200. Send me the file. I'll do it. And he didn't do a great job. Bless him. He's a very good CFO. Not very good.
Probably the same as me now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm a good bookkeeper anymore.
It was very interesting back in the day to when we moved to someone proper. So it was in the beginning you didn't need it, but it's interesting because there's a need for tech now to make things clear, and you can pull data out much easier, right?
Yep.
So then
easier.
Yeah, and then you can get analytics much easier to then understand what's going on.
Yes, and we have humans coding invoices still. It's not perfect. We make mistakes. We're constantly trying to improve on that. I mean, we're augmenting it with as much AI as possible as we can do now. But in a safe way. I mean, it's quite funny. We were playing around. Me and my financial analyst were playing around with our model that we do for a new client on Claude.
Yeah,
I got it totally wrong.
Yeah,
but then I gave it something on Saturday because I'm sad like that, and it got it perfect. So
it's
still very
tinkering away. Yeah.
So it's still very inconsistent. And I think I often you say AI is quite like an intern, right?
Yeah.
Like it can do very good work, and the output could be fantastic.
The guide rails,
every single thing that comes out of it.
So my wife has ADHD, and she's been training ChatGPT on answering questions and so on. And she's got it so tight Because so AI generally, right, is 75% has to give you an answer. If it doesn't know the 25%, it will lie to you. And that's hallucination.
It just makes it up.
Yeah, and it has to because it's programmed to give you an answer
Yeah,
always.
you can't just say, sorry, I don't know.
Yeah. It would never say I don't. Otherwise, people wouldn't keep it.
Yeah.
So she's built it so tight that everything that comes back from it will have a reference to where it's come from, and will always have a correct answer. She asked it the other day, do many people use you like I use you? And it was like, no, you're in like the 10% of people that use it like this. But most people just ask questions. So it's very interesting. But I will say, we for the other side of the business, they can't reach Cyber Essentials Plus, so we can't put custom data into it. So I built them a little mini, like, agentic AI coding. We built like a API version, so they use that, which is nice. But I will say that Claude versus ChatGPT it's a game-changing tool, analytically wise and reasoning. The Claude model is insane. Yeah. And the code work's really fun. I was like, can you tidy up my desktop, please? And just move all the files around. So that's okay.
That's very good. Well, except you hear horror stories of people getting their emails deleted.
Yes. Well, then you deep into the Claude bot and that
which I do watch, and I could talk about for hours. But I think
it's very interesting to understand that putting information in and getting different answers. That's really interesting.
And sometimes I just put, a draft email in both, and the output very different. But we're trying to use it a bit more. I think there was some stuff that come there. But so we've got Insights, which is a reporting tool which sits on top of your Zero, NetSuite, Sage.
So does that use any like agentic any API into any AIs yet?
Yeah. So there's yes. I sigh because. Again, data guardrails and understanding,
you gotta
actually
fence it, everything.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of work we're doing on that so that it can give useful data. At the moment, it'll give you top level analysis and it'll give you high level bits. And in our payroll product, Team Pay, which we've been building for a year, and it just gets better and better all the time. That has an AI agent that will run your payroll for you. So in it, it's called Nora. In it, you can literally say, "Hi Nora, please pay Adam £500," and it'll run your pay slip, load it on the bank in modular built-in banking solution, and then you can go and approve and pay it.
Amazing.
So, but that's again about having our teams be focused on the important stuff, which is talking to humans, dealing with edge cases, and resolving bits of it.
Yeah.
So
do you think in the future those tools will expand for just people just sending WhatsApps to what's my weekly blah, blah, blah.
Well, so we can already send payslips by WhatsApp.
Oh, nice.
So they can't text back yet.
Yeah.
But yes, that's coming. We can also, and this is only in beta, but it can deliver payslips in any language. So if you're a restaurant and you want, your waiter or your chef to have it in Spanish, they can have it in Spanish.
So the payslip itself, it's not what they send that generic PDF that everyone gets,
or
is it actual just information about it?
Information about it.
That's nice because the generic PDF that people use, the old school.
That's their style. For statutory reasons, we have to have that. But,
but the information can be sent by that. Yeah, that's really interesting.
We're sending approvals via Teams. So again, it's just making it all. And AI is.
Hold on, so you said you were sending approvals by Teams.
So what you can do, you can approve your pay. So you'd literally get a notification to say payroll's ready for approval. Slack's coming as well. The payroll's ready for approval. Approve it inside.
And that goes into Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
I see.
So this is AI.
You're solving the problem. Also, no one's got time as well. So if that message can pop up in that group on Teams or directly to them for Teams for their attention, and they can click something and do it, it's going to save that control loop, right?
Exactly.
And then you can put notification. It's really interesting, actually.
And it goes back to our why, right? So the why of Williams Stanley is we believe that we're there to empower and support, people in hospitality, hoteliers, restaurateurs, bar owners, publicans, to give their guests the best possible experience. It's not to have them drowning in admin. Now, we don't have 100% success rate. I try and focus on that, and we're doing everything we can do to get there.
Yeah.
But that's very much the why, and I think everybody at Williams Stanley buys into that why. We're also doing a cultural piece. I'm learning how to be a CEO of a 100-person plus business.
Yeah, that's that's crazy. That's.
And
sorry, I thought something moved. I'm terrified of one of the cameras is appearing, so we're all good. How did that scale up? Going back to was it just a slow thing, or was it just
we had 4 years where it doubled every year.
Wow.
So we went from sort of 8 people pre-COVID to 90 in 24.
Wow.
And then it slowed down. I mean, I've intentionally slowed it down. We're very lucky. We retain vast, 95% of our clients, 99% of our clients. But we're not perfect, and we're always striving for that kind of 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It might always be.
It's hard. So how does the team, what do you do? I guess my mind goes from that amount of time to, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
And that's like I feel like I imagine you sitting on your coaching call, which I'm sure you must have. For that,
flipping out.
I'm like, I mean, I have a small team that getting to that sort of size is insane, and even more stress. So how do you balance the stress of, not the stress, but it's a lot. I'm obviously build people around you. You've got those.
I have an incredible team beneath me, and I think James Couch, who joined me 6 years ago and is now managing director for the business.
Yeah,
he's been a great yin to my yang. I'm probably a little bit high energy, bit typical entrepreneur, and he's much more kind of.
He's the one that says, "We're not doing this now."
Or says yes to me and then slow pedals elsewhere. I think that's
the best way, though. It's always the best way. I work with my wife. She's my co-director. She'll be like, no. she'll be like, yeah, it's a great idea. Talk to me more about it, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm not
doing that.
No. Okay. So yeah, it's important.
It is important.
But also, I think, doesn't it give you the opportunity to do stuff like this?
Yes.
Because if you didn't have that little bit of extra time,
exactly.
and go meet people, because you are a personable person. You're. I mean, as I said, everyone knows you, which is great. Everyone knows me, which is great. So this is definitely a good pairing. But it's really nice to see you, one, out with people, and two, having that connection. Because hospitality is connection, right?
Yeah.
Because there are lots of other companies out there that just don't do that. They basically do a job for you. They won't speak to you.
Yeah.
And the typical accountancy firm, once a year, or twice a year, you might hear from them, and their team will email you about invoicing. Where's this? Where's that? And so it's very different what you're doing.
Yes, what we're trying to do. I think, again, I'm acutely aware that we're learning. I think one of the other questions you put to me about this was if you were 5 times tomorrow, what would break? And I think we have sort of hit the limit of the size we can go to without making that culture pervasive. And so we're doing a lot of work on the moment at culture and development and trying to make that as pervasive as possible, because we've got some incredible people in the business who I wouldn't be sat here today without them.
Yeah.
And so just trying to support them, trying to make sure the whole business is aligned behind it.
Yeah. It must be really. So how often do the team, do you do team outings and stuff?
Yes, we do four events a year.
Amazing.
We do a very regular town hall on Teams, which isn't the same, but it's nice for them to see. And we do you said we did, there's a lot of pulse surveys, putting that backward and forward. We have, we are trying to foster more and more of a kind of culture of internal challenge and an open culture. So where people can, you can ring me up and say, I don't.
We've got an open door policy, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a kind of remote working, and none of it. I go to the office most of any of our teams, but we have 3 offices in the UK, so I'm not always in them, and so but we try and make that as all accessible as possible. And we're really just kind of committed to it. I think, again, it's all a journey, right? None of us have got the answer, and if you have, please give it to me, or please send it in.
The camera's off. I'll give you the answer.
Exactly. 42. Yeah. So I think it's just about going through it all.
Yeah.
And I think we've taken a fair share of knocks, fair share of bloody noses, and I think. Yeah, I think
there's lots of learning. I mean, you've scaled crazy, amazing. I think. Do you think, because you mentioned pre-COVID and after COVID, did COVID give you a bump up as well? Because people would. My co-director, she literally was on the floor with thousands of invoices everywhere. And ADHD brain going, right, how do we pivot and extract? It must have been insane, because everyone's gone. And before then, as we talked about earlier, everyone was closed chest as well, so it's more open now. But what was that like? Was that scary for you as well?
Very scary. I mean, I often joke I had long flowing hair before it, and that was a bit that saw me to it. That just isn't true. I've always been bald. It wasn't. It was very satisfying in a way, because we were able to help a lot of clients and be able to support a lot of people. But it was, by that point, like I say, I had kind of 8-10 employees. We were just on an uptick. We just had some stuff coming in, and it was terrifying. Yeah. And I think not only because yes, it's terrifying for restaurateurs and everyone else, but there was also an expectation we would be able to continue supporting.
Yes.
Yeah. No money coming in, and we were very lucky with our partners, and the first time round, we didn't even take any furlough. We were that lucky to kind of be kept on and keep stuff going. Second time round wasn't, I think we were all a bit battle weary about that point. We did have to furlough some people, but it was.
Did you find that there were a lot of people coming your way from that? Because I think a lot of people were lost.
The business doubled in COVID.
Yeah,
the business doubled in
COVID.
So
it's interesting. I think people really looked at. I had someone look up about a month ago, and they were like, not in a bad way. They were like, not in a bad way. I don't need to be like this sort of person, but I wish COVID was back again, but without the disease. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, she was like, because everything was just like so quick and so fast, and people pivoted and changed, and things changed, and it was so good but so bad. And I was like, I sort of understand what you mean. Because everything changed.
It did, and in some ways it was fantastic, right? Because for the first month or so, it was a bit like, this is novel, isn't it?
But people changed the way they looked at business.
Yes,
dramatically.
And I think that was better for the whole business.
I agree.
Ultimately, brought it back down to what's good.
Yeah.
And what we're all best at.
Yeah.
So very positive.
It's super interesting to hear the growth. I mean, the growth you've had is insane. My last question was talking about is this AI Pay Pilot? Is that what it's called, or is it now called Nora?
Yeah, it was Nora, the AI Pay Pilot. So I think that's
cool.
Nice. That's the bit, and I think there'll be a lot more coming about that.
What was the thought process behind like thinking about that? Was that already in build before this agentic stuff came out? Or was it in planning for a while?
It's been in planning for a while and been built for a while, but the kind of real how useful, how good we can make this was the LLM and the agentic stuff. So that has really sprung that out. Made it kind of,
You're right. It's interesting to hear, and I'm glad that you're taking that journey, because 5 years ago, you would have been in by 50K with developers.
Minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually talking to someone last night. Like, I think what we've built would have cost nearly £1 million. But and it would have taken years. And we spent a lot of money on it, but nowhere near that.
Yeah. I think it's insane. I'm glad that you're doing it. I think everyone should have the opportunity to just go 100%. Out and try it. Because back in the day, I can tinker with code, right? But I'm not a builder.
Yeah.
And I've always had that like, I want to do, I always said years ago, I was like, someone needs to just give me $500,000 and I'll build everything. I just want that. And now you don't need to. Now you can do it. So yeah, it's really, it'd be interesting to see it actually. So next time.
I'll give you a proper demo of it all.
Yeah, that would be really good actually. So, but I'm going to give you a round of applause. There you go. A round of applause. Oh, there you go. Thank you so much for coming. This was really interesting. Your story is awesome. I did this yesterday. Scott Turner from Modern Hospitality has top draw star videos of everyone who works for him, but in the leadership team. And I think it would be awesome for you to have like just a little interview, or at least on your website, some of the like snippets that you can use or something like that, because this is super interesting and not everyone knows the story, right?
Yeah.
And also the nice thing to hear is your ex-operator, which is really important, because you go to finance and they're like, well, they don't get it. They don't get hospitality. I've asked them to do something, they don't get it. And what you've been through is you've been there.
Definitely been there. Yeah. Lost the money, made the money, done it all. I went back for seconds.
Which is even better, because then people will be like, oh yeah, so this happened. Yeah, I did that when I first started. So,
I heard the jokes like, having had an FD that's nearly gone bust a few times, and so I'm going to make damn sure that they don't go there.
Yeah, 100%. You know where the markers are. Exactly. Okay, so final questions. Best restaurant. Oh, that's going to get me in a lot of trouble. It can be anywhere though. It doesn't have to be here, so that might be.
It might get me out.
China.
No, there's a family who used to go to Spetses in Greece, a beautiful Greek island, and there's a restaurant called Petralis, which is right on the beach, and it just does big grilled fish and chips, and it's absolutely magic. So I think that's going to be my
that's nice.
naughty non-UK answer.
Yeah, I think so. I had to get that one for you. Best burger.
Oh, I like the Blecker burger.
Yeah,
the Blecker burger is very good.
I
think, that's the one for me.
It is very good, I have to say, and Zan does a great job. And it's nice to see them expanding as well. Absolutely. So insane. Best hotel.
We were lucky enough to last year stay in Opera House in Hong Kong, which I think is like 8th best hotel in the world.
Wow.
And a friend of mine is the executive sous chef there, and so and honestly, my girlfriend's from Hong Kong, so we go there. It's been a long time there every year.
I love Hong Kong. fucking expensive.
It is so expensive. Like, I work all year to pay for this to pay for this 2-week trip over here.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the best hotel experience I've ever had. I mean, it's the room we normally get sits looking into the kind of jungle at the back, and then you sit at the restaurant and it looks over the harbour the other side. They even do little touches like you get a monogram notebook as you come in with your name on it. Like on before we were leaving the night before, they'd put out bath bombs and face masks and all beauty products for her and a bottle of whiskey for me, and like, enjoy your last night. And it's just this kind
That's insane.
It was an incredible experience.
Yeah, that's insane. That's worth it.
Yeah, that was definitely
worth it. The bathroom for her and the whiskey for you. Yeah, was it?
She's not a big drinker.
Yeah, that's insane. Okay, 2 questions for the next guest.
So I think question number 1 is culturally for your team, what do you think is the most important thing for them and the most proactive way in order to put that in? And then I think question number 2, which is the one I did really struggle with, especially because I don't know who it is. I thought you were going to tell me that was going to be my get out. I think what can we as an industry do better to lobby our government and ensure that the positivity that we've spoken about at the start here is kind of better felt through the government and through the general public.
Yeah, I think that's a great one to be on to do. It just kills me. Yeah, it kills me.
You and me both.
Yeah, I love it. All right, listen, I'm going to give you another round of applause. Give everyone a wave goodbye. Thank you so
very
much. That was awesome.
I really appreciate it.